Hello, everybody. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So here in Lake Tahoe, we're going to have some nice fireworks. It's one of the 5 top places to see fireworks in the country. So we have a really good spot where we go up on the mountain, we look down on it, and it's like you can see the lake. The lake is like crystal, reflects it. It's unbelievable. So happy 4th of July, everybody, and hope you guys have some fun times. Eat some hot dogs, hamburgers, whatever, some baked beans. That's what we're going to have. So enjoy. All right. So one thing we get to enjoy is President Trump signed the big, beautiful bill today. And that was an accomplishment. You know, I predicted it would happen. A lot of people thought there wouldn't, but yeah, it did. And we're going to be the better for it as a nation. A lot of people are going to benefit from that. It's going to make America great. And we're not going to make America great. We're making America great. I have a hat that says that. So it is one of those things that we love to see. We're finally seeing, you know, what America is all about. We're representing around the world, and people are starting to like us again, right? So it'll be interesting how this happens. Now, some things that need to be, given attention is the past. Now, the past has been rife with, some problem areas, like the Obamas. We know that there were some problems there with the Obamas. And, even France, seems to have that same issue with the Macrons. So we have a controversial surgical operation of Mrs. Brigitte Macron. So we have a doctor surgeon linked to Brigitte Macron transgender speculation found dead. Reminds you of Joan Rivers, doesn't it? Very, very sad. So let's look at this and see what we can glean from this.
Vous parlez là de son opération de changement de sexe? Pouvez-vous me raconter?
All right, because this is in French, I'm just going to read it. I think it's very interesting. Let me go back to the beginning. So this person was basically Francois Padre, 58, committed suicide. He's committed suicide by jumping out of a window. How often does that happen? Like never. Especially his sister, I guess, came out and said he was not suicidal. We've all heard this before. He was a surgeon and worked in a Parisian clinic. So here's his sister, and that his death is probably related to him revealing about Mrs. Macron, the famous surgeon. Here's the famous surgeon. So this guy, I guess, worked with him and had a lot of information. He was going to share that. So let's look at, in this interview, the journalist of Closer magazine. So we know Candace Owens has really been hard on this, exposing that. I could tell you more about my work, he says. With Dr. Patrick Bouy, when we met in person. So he worked at the American Hospital in Paris for 6 years. Says the doctor that did the surgery was one of his close colleagues. He shared a lot of information about his patients. And so he's being asked a question, including about the wife of the French president. Yes, he told me about the physical changes that Brigitte Macron underwent during the transgender surgery operation in the hospital. So, and now, unfortunately, this gentleman's going to, I guess, reveal more. And he is now deceased. Now, we had the same thing happen with Joan Rivers. You guys might remember that one. Joan Rivers was asked the question by a news reporter, when do you think we'll see the first gay president? And she's like, oh, come on. We already have a gay president. It's Obama. And then she turns around and she says, and Michelle, is a transgender, a trainee, transgender. So a couple days after that, she died. So just days before she passed away, had said this on Michelle Obama. So I'm gonna play this. So this is in English, so it should be a problem.
First, the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president? With Obama, so let's just calm down. Gay president or the first woman president? Have it with Obama, so let's just calm down. No, Michelle is a trans. I'm sorry, she's a what? A transgender. We all know. Oh my gosh.
A transgender, we all know. Right? So it is fun to see these things as they transpire and start to work these out. And a lot of us have talked about this for a long time. It is not anything new. It is not anything that is going to stop. They're going to try and stop it. They're still trying to stop it. So they obviously have some goons, just like the Clintons had goons that can take people out if they get out of hand. Probably the French intel agency or something like that. So Trump signs big beautiful bill into law during Independence Day event, and so it's going to be amazing. So it says the White House, this was one of the hottest weeks in our nation's history. 147,000 jobs added, egg prices down. Not in California. Right? California, I'm sure, pushed very hard for that because they have Newsom. And I think Newsom was noosed, but I don't know. Maybe not. It does look like a different person. Remember, he was gone for like 2 weeks and nobody could explain where he had been, not even his wife. So he took a break. Everyone takes a break every now and then. No, not the governor of a state. So what if something major happened? So anyway, whoever's playing Gavin Newsom is doing a great job of exposing just how corrupt that governor is or was. Right? Just like Biden, the masking of Biden. He had the one mask I posted on X where like his chin. So he had he normally has a smooth chin, maybe a little bit of a dimple. I got a little bit of a dimple. But he had what looked like a couple of balls in his chin. So I called him Biden ball chin. And or you could call him dick face, either one. Whichever one you choose. But he had like a real big he had a turkey neck. And he had like a close like if I took my zipper and zipped it all the way up. He had something on like that, and he had like a turkey neck, and he doesn't have a turkey neck. So it's like, that mask is a little loose there. So anyway, men removed from women's sports, not completely. There's still a few holdouts. California, historic trade deal, alligator Alcatraz. Yep, that's in Florida. Good job, Florida. Kicked off America 250. So 250 today starts it's 249 years, but basically at this point on, we're going into the 250th year, and that's what President Trump said from now until next July, we'll be celebrating the 250 years of America being born, breaking away from England. Breaking away from rule, just kind of like what we're doing right now from the deep state. It's the same thing. We're just going through the same thing. We're pretty good at it. We got this, right? Might be some problems here and there, but there were during the Revolutionary War too. So we're having a revolution against the deep state, right? So that's the way I look at it. Now there is a bill afoot where they're going to have possibly in addition to Mount Rushmore. So look at that face, right? It probably won't stand out that much, but that's a good representation there. So there is a push by Andy Ogles. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, but if not, sorry. But that is coming. But I kind of like this one, where it's like, fight, fight, fight. I think it just transform all of the people on Mount Rushmore. That way, the best president and the fightingest president, right, would be represented very well. So we wouldn't have to, add another face. We just add the best face to all of them, right? So there's another one, Mount Rushmore. Greetings from Mount Rushmore. So, and there's the handsome guy standing there, ready to pose for his face on the Mount Rushmore. So he went there one time just before, I think it was just right around COVID when they're trying to do the lockdowns. And South Dakota, of course, had a great governor who is now what is she, Secretary of Homeland Security or something like that, Chrissy Noem. So she was there, and she never locked her state down. She was one of the holdouts, and she did a great job. And South Dakotans did really well during COVID. So that's she got the payback for that. She also helped Donald Trump. She sent National Guard down to the border for a long time from South Dakota to help out. So I think she's that's good, Truther Mike. He's Balchinian, like Men in Black. Balchinian. That's it. Balchinian. Beautiful. Chinian. Because he obviously did take a lot of money from China, so that's probably why they executed him. I don't know. So I guess we'll find out about that. Now, looking at the way things are going right now, do you think, because President Trump is starting to put a lot of military people all around the country now, and I think it just went out there. So I guess somebody didn't like that. Those NSA guys, come on, NSA, you're supposed to be on the good side. Obama, Bush, and Clinton, and I'm talking about the dude, because I think the female type's already been dealt with. Do you think that maybe the three of those three amigos will be standing treason charges? Do you think it's going to happen in the next year, in this 250-year celebration? I think so. So I don't know what you guys think, but I think arrest, yes. Gene, you think so? Good. Repeat, you froze. Did I get that? I talked about how the three knuckleheads, Obama, Bush, and Clinton, would be doing treason trials. So I think so. I think they're going to. Now, what is pretty much, making me think that? Well, let's talk about it. So the Pentagon is again expanding military border zones. This time in Arizona. Arizona. Hundreds more miles of federal land along the U.S. southern border in Arizona is set to be transferred to the Department of Defense. That means they represent and they have controlling interest. Right? So now Mexico, as we know, has a lot of cartel members that have tunnel systems that go underneath, right? And we're going to talk about those tunnel systems with the Ukraine-Russia war. Russia is doing good job tunneling, right, and using the tunnel systems to defeat Ukraine. So it looks like we are too, and I think we're doing a lot of similar situations, and they're exposing lots and lots of tunnel systems that are going under the border. So yeah, I think there's going to be along the border. There could be a little bit of an outbreak of conflict, and that's I think we're gearing up for that. So stand by for that. I think that the things that we're seeing from Department of Defense and Trump, of course, has weeded out a lot of the baddies from the Department of Defense. That old system that Eisenhower warned us about, the military-industrial complex. I think a lot of that has been removed. course, some of that military industrial complex was Amazon, believe it or not. Jeff Bezos. You know how Jeff Bezos stepped down and he went off on like this sexual rant with this crazy looking woman. It's like has a lots of plastic surgery. Looks good, right? Looks good. I'm not knocking it, but she exposes that quite a lot, and so it seems to be some reveal going on there. It's kind of like one of those things. Have you guys seen who's that redhead that held Trump's head up? I can't think of her name right now, but she's not looking so good. Not looking so good. She has been like, it looks like she's losing hair. I don't know. Maybe she's the brother of Kathy Griffin. Yeah, thank you, Brian. So the brother of that CNN reporter. So I think the two of them are Kathy Griffin. Yeah, I think the two of them are bros. And I don't know, maybe the comedian. Yeah, she's real funny. So she was holding up the head of President Trump. Let's see if I can find that real quick, so you guys know what I'm talking about. If you're like, what? Because I'm like that sometimes. I draw blanks on stuff. Kathy Griffin, Trump head. So the Trumpster. So it was dripping blood, and I think there's like a payback for this kind of stuff. Right? I think there's a payback for that. So let me share the screen so you guys can see the Kathy Griffin craziness. Yeah. So she's holding the bloody head of President Trump. So then she comes back and says, I went too far. So look how she looked pretty good right there, right? Not great, but she looks okay. So and Anderson Cooper. So Anderson Cooper is her brother, I think. Yes, Hugo, you got it. You got it, Hugo. Good job. So when you look at, I'll go over to my X because I posted the latest Kathy Griffin look. Not looking so good, right? Not looking so good. So there's Dick Chin, or Ball Chin. Sorry. See those balls? See that turkey neck? He's like trying to cover it up. He's like putting his hand. He's like, damn it, my mask is like screwed up. Look at that turkey neck. Look at those ball chins. All right. So, and of course, where is it at down here? Kathy Griffin, not looking so good. Where is she? Jeez, I thought I had that in here. Thought I reposted that. Maybe somebody took it down. They do that in my post sometimes, actually. All right. So I'm not seeing it now because I definitely put it up here. Oh, look what I saw on the trail today. This is a good one. Whoop. Right. So it's like, I was walking. I was like, what? I called him Woody. And then somebody else posted that one. I was like, okay, these two should get together. Right. But nature's fun, right? So let's see. No, I'm not seeing it. Now, did you guys see this? This is crazy. You know how they want to come out and do the UFO stuff? Check this out.
That is crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, you for real, y'all?
That's pretty crazy. All right, so there's a lot of stuff in here. Let's see, Kathy Griffin. Maybe I didn't post it. Maybe it was just so awkward and ugly. I just didn't. All right, so there it is. Look at that. What the heck is going on with that head? Yeah, that's scary looking. So it's like I don't know if that's some kind of horror flick or something, kind of like a. So from this, holding Trump's head, bloody head, to this. All right, you're going to pay for that. And the way you pay for that, you got to go out and look like this. I think that's what's happening to some of these people. I think they're being humiliated, public humiliation for what you did. Or you can go to the spa for the rest of your life. Okay, I'll take public humiliation. So 101. Right? So we also have, like, Mike gets off topic, right? So I was talking about the military. I think the military are being spread around the country, guys, not only to create a nice buffer at the border, and possibly, I think we're going to actually, like I said, infiltrate into help them out, kind of like Russia's doing for us by going into Ukraine. I think eventually we'll probably go over there and just wipe out the cartel, because they're all along the border pretty much. We may have to go a little bit deeper in. Give the Mexican government a hand. They'll say bad things because otherwise they'd be killed by the Mexican cartel. So we understand that. So they can say their bad things. But yeah, we're going to protect American citizens, and the cartel is doing human trafficking, drug trafficking, weapons trafficking. All that stuff has got to stop. Right. So we're gonna do that. Now, the other thing that we're seeing is that, these guys, these military guys, we just had 200 Marines. 200 Marines. Now, Marines that's a different animal, right? The Marines are like, you point them, it's like go charge, and they like just annihilate everything. It's like, okay. So we saw what happened when they went to L.A. And I guess they're going far afield in L.A., going after drug trafficking and going after drug cartels and after illegal aliens, the bad ones, right? The ones that aren't so bad, we're not worried about them, but we know that they're trying to storm up some bad stuff here in America. So I think we're seeing the military being spread around under the auspices of, well, we're going after illegal aliens. We need a little help, right? Yes, we need a little help by getting our military in place, or when the baddies really start to, Democrats really start to riot, right? So 200 Marines sent to Florida to support ICE, U.S. Police, ICE, U.S. Northern Command says the Marines will perform case management duties, provide logistical support like vehicle maintenance, and will help process detainees at ICE facilities. Yep. Just administrative type stuff. You send Marines to do administrative stuff? Okay. All right. So maybe they're getting set up. They're putting their toe in the water, getting everything ready for greater operations, guys. We're going to have some problems here in America. There's no question about it. Now, in Florida, we now have alligator Alcatraz, right? New aerial photos of alligator Alcatraz Immigration Detention Center show detainees. So look at that that's a big runway that can hold big aircraft, military aircraft, to load and offload lots of people, right? So this is great. This 5,000 bed facility located at an abandoned airfield in the Everglades wetlands. So this is basically going after the illegal aliens and the people that are going to or would have been attacking us in our cities and in our counties and so forth. So this is a big facility, as you guys can see from the pictures. The white and the red guys, and there's some blue ones in there too somewhere. But they're out, having a little outdoor time. Good. Now, I see all these Winnebagos. These are probably the prison guards and so forth, I'm imagining. I highly doubt that. It's kind of like what we used, something like this, when we were in the Middle East at different places. They would bring these in, and we would stay in these. So I think that's probably what the new prison guards are living in until they build maybe some facilities, or maybe it's just a temporary thing. Maybe they don't see this being long term, but I do. I think this is going to go on for years. I mean, we had 10 million, or the numbers keep going up. I hear 20 million. First, it was like 3 or 4 million, and then it was like 5. It was just the numbers just keep going up. I'm like, how many people came in? I don't think anybody really knows. So 5,000, let's say 5,000 a day, process and go out. That's still like years and years and years, guys. to like getting these people out. So it's going to be a little delicate, but they're doing this as fast as they can. I appreciate what Florida's doing. I heard, I don't know if this was true or if this was somebody trying to be funny, but Alaska now wants to get in the game, and they want a bear Alcatraz, a bear Alcatraz. So that's perfect, right? So you want to go into the wilderness where the bears will eat you. That's fine, and make sure it's at a grizzly, because black bears are kind of like, they're pretty tame. They're almost like dogs, unless you get them cornered. But grizzlies, they will hunt you and they will eat you, right? So, yep, purple walk, Mel. So that's what we're probably seeing with a lot of these people, like Kathy Griffin. So, comedian, yes, it's real funny, haha. Right. So, we're really laughing at you now. We weren't before. Maybe some Dems were, but I don't think a lot of Dems are doing the laughing anymore either. I think we're going to get that 80%, because we were talking about that yesterday. I had on the master that knows so much about this stuff, Derek Johnson, and he was talking about how we're getting. That's the highest in history for any president. I think that grizzlies can run 40 miles per hour. Good God. All right. Deadpool snipes. That's a good one. And polar bears are pretty badass too. Good. That's good. Frozen just for a second. Yeah. So it's happening. So I go back and forth with using different stuff. I thought maybe when I came to Nevada, it would be different, but still kind of. So I'm thinking they're just home in on me and just like start to do that. So we'll do what we can. All right. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there. It's worth it. You get a little freezy, but there's good information on the other side of that. Now, let's go to where there's real fighting, kinetic activity, which is coming for America and probably Europe. Because, bring in 10 million people or millions of people like they have throughout Europe too, and promise them all kind of crazy stuff. And you bring in the criminals, the baddest of the criminals, and tell them, well, you got to go now. And they had all these plans for them. You're going to riot, and we're going to get more power. We're going to take all the cities. And, I don't think they're going to be cool with that. You got some people that are like, I'm out of here. I don't want to be, they probably know that that's coming. They don't want to be any part of that. And so they're out. I'm out. So they're going to find out. You're going to find out that you stick around, you don't win. You don't win against Americans. And you don't run against Russians. So the Russian offensive captures 30 square miles along Kharkiv, Belgorod border. So you see where all these little pistol marks are in red. That's Russian army. So they're basically closing in on the second largest city in Ukraine, which is Kharkiv. All right. Biggest obviously is Kyiv. Does it show Kyiv? No, it doesn't show Kyiv. Kyiv is further that way. I think that's kind of westish. So this area right here was just captured. So what I believe they're going to do, and I think he's going to show this. If he doesn't show it here, I think it's the next video that I'm going to show. But there is a movement, and you see how they're doing the pincer movement right here that I talked about. It's like Russia should do pincer movements. So this hole right here, see what all that yellow is? These are fortifications. So instead of hammering right into those like they did in Avdiivka and Mariupol and Chasiv Yar, which is, they've almost wrapped up Chasiv Yar. It took them months and months and months and months, 6 months, 8 months, almost a year for Chasiv Yar. Going around the fortifications has been very helpful. And I'll talk about how the Russian Spetsnaz, which is basically their special forces guys, basically went through pipes on several occasions. And they have been talking about how they've been doing underground, digging tunnels underground and all kind of crazy stuff. But they used this pipe system in the Sumy region more recently, and in Avdiivka, which was a city they were really having a tough time with. They'd been trying to get through and knock out that city for 6 or 8 months. And then the Russian Spetsnaz used a pipe where they went through this pipe underneath their battle lines and came up behind them. And then when reinforcements came, they annihilated the reinforcements because they didn't know there was people behind the lines. So they just came in hunky-dory, and they got wiped out. And then they came in behind the lines, and then the other Russians came in, and they just wiped out Avdiivka very quickly after that. So very interesting. We're going to see the Russians really gobble up land 30 kilometers in one day. That's incredible. So let's see what it says.
We see along the border area, the Russians are creating their so-called buffer zone. The Russians will expand its offensive operations alongside the border area to gain control of the border area, and then launch offensive operations similar to the south and the east, where the Russians are slowly advancing along the front lines, gain control of the defensive lines of the Ukrainians, fortified positions and settlements that can be used for a springboard for further offensive operations by the Russians, expanding their front line, taking advantage of their numerical superiority and the Ukrainian lack of weapons.
All right, so they're taking out a lot of cities, and they're moving very quickly across the landscape. It's very, for a military guy, it's very cool to see, their operations. Like I said, I said this is what they should be doing, and then they started doing that. I don't know, they listen to me, but probably because I'm tapped into this stuff, I see how things should evolve. The Russians have been in the past been very slow and methodical, but now they're picking up speed because there's not as much resistance, because the United States is not giving Ukraine weapons anymore. Thank you, Donald Trump, making a deal with Putin. So Putin, kind of had to do a little bit of a perp walk because he didn't have the soccer games like I talked about yesterday. He wasn't allowed to do that. Remember how he gave Trump the soccer ball? And it's like, okay, I guess we're not going to be doing soccer games. So they're not allowed to do soccer. And the Russians and the rest of the world love soccer. So they haven't been able to go to World Cups. Now, recently, there was a big, I don't know if it's a World Cup or there was some kind of, maybe it's a World Cup every year they do one, but then they have one that's like a big one, major one. But they had one in Paris, and the Qatar team won. And, of course, Parisians rioted. But it was more, I believe, the Muslim population that was using that as an excuse. And I've heard that I've seen it from several sources. The Parisians aren't going to admit that because they brought the Muslims in to replace the Parisians and the French. Just like the leftist demonic group that Biden was part of at one point when he was living. They tried to do the same thing, bring in millions upon millions of illegal aliens with known terrorist groups that infiltrated into America. So that is what the Trump administration is trying to do. That's why you see so many military units out there, guys, because it is a war that we're waging on American soil right now. And it's being kept low key. Don't want to get people panicking. Of course, the leftists get all butt hurt because it's like we shouldn't be allowing the military to operate here. And I've even seen this from, and of course they must be leftists too, former veterans. All right, they're complaining too that this is going to turn America into, you don't understand what's going on. Please be quiet. You're making the rest of us look bad. But that's just the way it is. All right, let's look at, there were heavy strikes hit Kyiv. He talks about how, I'm not going to show that, but he talked about how President Trump and Putin talked, and President Trump, did the, saving face thing, and said, well, he didn't want to agree to a peace agreement. So I tried to talk him into it, but I'm not happy about it. But he has to say that. He has to say that because Russia's doing the dirty work right now, and Trump is the only one that supported him. And even when that person posing as the Biden administration or the evil Biden administration was in activity, because you know how there's a dash 45-47, it's continuance. So again, Derek Johnson talks very well about that and highlights that, how that is a continuance of operations, a continuance of military operations that America's going through right now. All right, so we're seeing one of the reasons why I want to see or show you guys the operations that are going on in Ukraine and how buildings are being destructed and so forth. I believe that's going to happen in America. I'm pretty sure, right? In some of these cities, the Dems aren't going to give them up, right? And they're going to fight to the end, just like the Ukrainians are fighting to the end. The Ukrainians are leftist Nazis, right? The Dems are leftist Nazis, so they're going to fight to the end, guys. And they have the brainwashed people that will. There's some smaller percentage of them, but they're going to have those people that are going to fight. All right, let's listen to this.
We had questions: where exactly is the border? Where exactly where was the front line of combat contact in this area? Of course, everybody colored the village of Milovoy, but yesterday nobody know for sure where exactly the Russians managed to get to. And today we have another article that was published by pro-Ukrainian mappers by Deep State, and they show indeed significant progress on the ground. Once again, this is the situation by the end of the 3rd of July of 2025. The Russians, most of the mappers colored just the village of Milovoy according to the border of this settlement on the map. And today, Deep State adjusted this part of the front line significantly by adding probably 3 more times territories that the Russians established control over. Obviously, this is a breakthrough, and now we have no doubts that the Russians are planning to move further in the southwestern direction, deep inside of the territory of Kharkiv region, with the purpose, at least for now, to establish complete control over the villages of Ambarne, Zabrynka, and the village of Khatnia. If the Russians are able to improve their positions this way, this is going to be a critical situation for the Ukrainians. Furthermore, by these attacks, the Russians would be able to get the roads, real roads that they could use to move faster and deeper inside of the Kharkiv Oblast. Furthermore, this is not the only progress on the ground. During the previous nights, according to pro-Ukrainian sources, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly, several kilometers in the southeastern directions towards the river Voskol. So, for example, this is the situation on the ground by the end of the 3rd of July of 2025, and this is the situation by the beginning of the 4th of July of 2025. As you can see, the Russians improved their position significantly in this area as well. And it seems that the Russians are going to advance further deep inside of the territory of the Kharkiv Oblast in the south, let's say, western direction, with the purpose to maintain the lines and most likely to shorten the distances like this. So everything to the east of this red line is what the Russians are tasked for. And they're going to move further. As for now, it's very difficult to say what exactly we can see right now. It's just another media attack from the Russians. Scan Lugansk region.
All right, I want to show you guys the distance that the Russians have been gobbling up a lot of this territory.
We have lots of missile strikes, lots of explosions, and you know that this is very interesting because after the Russians managed to establish complete control over the city of Avdiivka, we haven't received even a single video or.
All right, so he just talked about the city of Avdiivka. He goes on. He's going to give me a better view of this map, and I'm going to show you guys all the different places where they have been like hammering. So the Russians were going into Avdiivka, I think it was probably about a year and a half ago, something like that. So Ukrainian forces reported that Russian troops employed tunnel warfare tactics during the Battle of Avdiivka. This involved digging tunnels to approach Ukrainian positions, conceal troop movements, and potentially deliver explosives or supplies. These tunnels were used for both logistical support and to disrupt Ukrainian defenses. These underground tunnels that we're finding along the border, I promise you, will be used to go after the cartels. Some of them there's a show where they're blowing them up, but they're maintaining control of other ones. So the ones that probably can, they can probably be bigger and move more and more vehicles and so forth. So Russia, what they did is there was a port they used. They used drainage pipe to infiltrate Ukrainian territory, creating flanking maneuvers like I described, and potentially encircling some units. Well, potentially, it was not potentially. Of course, that's, Wikipedia. Wikipedia is always going to slant things, but it was real. That's exactly what happened. And I remember reporting on it in the past. So let me see if I can get this out a little bit to where I can see the whole countryside without his little thing there. There's another one where he's actually showing some video of cities being blown up, right? Because they get into the buildings and they have to, instead of fighting floor by floor and losing people, they just shoot missiles into them, drones and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's what's coming. And here it is right here.
Russians began offensive operation in the direction of the last micro-district of the city of Chasiv Yar by the name of Zemlyanka.
Now look at this city. See how these buildings are basically blown. So I've seen cities where they use like 1,000-pound bombs, 1,500-pound bombs, 2,000-pound bombs, 3,000-pound bombs to basically level whole massive. They did the same. They did this in Chasiv Yar, because in Chasiv Yar they had not only big buildings like this, but also underground facilities that were super hardened. This goes all the way back to World War II and during the Cold War and so forth. So it's just been, pretty hard fighting. Of course, the Russians know all this stuff. They know where all that stuff is at because they built it. So they're, having to basically, that could be LA. That could be San Francisco or New York, guys. Right? That's tragic. I've seen this. Doesn't mean it has to happen. If we can wake these knuckleheads up, it won't happen. But it's slow going, just like it's slow going for the Russians to basically take a lot of these cities. Now they're starting to pick up pace because now that Donald Trump is back in, he can basically take away their fighting capabilities. Now we're seeing that the president of Germany is asking to buy rocket systems from the United States so that because the United States won't give them, he can give them to Ukraine. That's the kind of shit that's going on right now. But that is one of the things that Trump has to overcome that. All right, let me see if I can find it in here. Let's see a little bit back. Let me run it a little bit.
Still, we're gonna find this out. Now let's move further. All
right, so now this all started because the Ukrainians were shelling the Donbass area, so Donetsk. So Donetsk, when the Russians finally took Donetsk, see all the yellow? That this was all of the Ukrainian lines and all where they dug in and everything. They would shell Donetsk because Donetsk, the people of Donetsk in this region were Russian speakers, because that Russia used to, Ukraine has been for 1,000 years or something crazy part of Russia. So they got talked into just let Russia do their own thing, and that hasn't worked out well. So they're going to have to go in and basically take all of Ukraine back. So the Ukrainians would shell Donetsk because they had Russian speakers and they didn't like it. And they're trying to do it again. They're trying to do, and they thought that the Russians thought, we'll just make all this buffer area and keep pushing. And the people of Donetsk were so happy because they were still shelling from artillery. They basically pushed them out of artillery range. But now they're trying to hit them with missiles. These people are sick. They're Nazi sick, right? Another one was Bakhmut. Bakhmut was a hard one for them to take. Mariupol.
Thing is that during the
Now, Mariupol is further south. I might have to have this thing in the way. I thought this thing was not in the way. Yeah, this looks better, right? So let me see if I find Mariupol. Mariupol was another World War II and Cold War era bunker system that the Russians had to basically destroy the whole city to win it. But they did. And there's a Donetsk. Avdiivka is up here somewhere. So in New York, they just recently took New York. So that was named around the same time frame that New York was, and this New York was named first, and then our New York came, because I've talked about how the Nazis of Ukraine were in New York and on a major level, and they are helping to fund this war. They help fund the takedown of the Russian family, the monarchy. Basically, they helped to take it down. They're Ukrainian Russians that are Jews, right? The bad Jews. We know that there's good Jews and there's bad Jews, and there's like the bad ones come from Ukraine, right? And there's been talk that at one point where we would have a lot of people like the Hamas would go to Ukraine when they finally won the war. Well, that's not going to happen. So these Democrats, these leftists, these evil Nazis are pretty hard to understand them. But they're going to continue their operations until we finally win them out, push them out. I think we're getting to the place like a lot of people are seeing how they pushed. There was not one Democrat in the Senate or in the Congress that voted for the big beautiful bill, which basically gives Americans incredible tax benefits. Right, hard working Americans are going to be able to benefit from this on a major level. This is going to help destroy the Democrat Party, right? So, it's happening now. Chaos in Texas. You guys know I've been talking about earth changes. I think are coming front and center, and they've been talked about for decades. They've kind of crept in and then crept back out, but I think we're getting close to the real thing, and it's all part of the change that's going on with our consciousness, with the Earth, with our galaxy, our solar system, everything. More energy is coming in, so more energy is coming in from the sun to our planet, and it's causing these megastorms. So in Texas, they had today they had the Guadalupe River. It was dry, and then it got to the point where it was like 20 feet in like 1 hour, something crazy, and it washed away a lot of people. Unfortunately, they're looking for, I think, 20 girls that were in a camp. It was like 700 of them, and I think 23 of them. I saw a helicopter. It looked like a helicopter was rescuing one of them, but there's 20 some odd girls that are still missing. It went through a mobile home camp, not mobile home, but a trailer camp, kind of like what you saw there in Florida, where they had those Winnebago type things. There was basically a camp of 20 or more of those. All of them got washed away, and one guy that was able to get out of his just in the nick of time and save himself could hear family screaming, and then they're washed away. Right. So here's what it looks like.
Miles west of the bustling city of Austin, where the devastating impact of the flooding has tragically already turned deadly this Friday morning. The Kerr County Sheriff's Office has released a series of grave statements across social media platforms, confirming the immense scale of the crisis and the profound human cost. They state unequivocally with a somber tone, "This is a catastrophic flooding event in Kerr County. We can confirm fatalities, but will not release further information until next of kin are notified. A heartbreaking confirmation of lives lost to the raging, unforgiving waters." The Sheriff's Office hours within Kerr County, underscoring the exceptional nature of the rainfall rates and the limited time available for preparation. The National Weather Service issued a chilling and urgent warning alongside their flash flood emergency for the Guadalupe River, stating with stark clarity and an undeniable sense of urgency, automated rain gauges indicate a large and deadly flood wave is moving down the Guadalupe.
So there's all that flooding is moving down the Guadalupe and moving HARP weather control, definitely, Jim. So they're and probably going to have some really good people that know all that stuff. They're going to start to disclose that. But you just don't get rainfall like that in an hour, right? I saw this thing where, Katie, in your neck of the woods. So I saw this one thing where they showed a graph of the flood level, and it was like within 3 hours it rose like 20 feet, and it's crazy. So the storms are happening all over the world. The deep state's not done yet, guys. Of course, there's massive amounts of energy come from the sun, and they're going to use that to basically really ramp this stuff up. So unfortunately, it's going to continue. We're seeing the beginning of it. I think we're going to see a very wicked summer of storms.
That's running too well in the Atlantic, which is probably going to be Tropical Storm Chantal before you know it, because it has taken a serious turn as well. It's riding right along these warm waters, and it's tightening up. It's getting vertically stacked, and it's strengthening very fast. Plus, what's going on over here for Texas, because the Guadalupe River has gone really bad. It has flooded over 20 feet in just 1 hour, and there's massive problems. I will go through that as well. First, let's go through what's going on over here on the southeast. If you've never been here, make sure you subscribe and follow along for updates. Right now, it's at 34 miles per hour sustained winds. It is moving northeast at 6 miles these tropical systems. Now, they have data on what's going on with this system now. I will go through that. Going to be more data and another aircraft hunter going through for tomorrow. And you can see with the Euro, it is back to a 100% chance of a tropical depression already there now. We just need to get thunderstorms all the way around it. And it's going to carry that intensity all the way across into North Carolina. The sea surface temperatures are very warm. Our 80 degrees is sustained.
Now, the problem with these storms, as you all are aware of, they can ramp them up very quickly overnight. And that's when they like to do it, during the night. I don't know if, there's people not watching, or they want a higher death count. They like the fact that people are caught by surprise because they're at war with us, and it's like an ambush type thing. But I think the energies they're able to manipulate them more at night. That's my feel for this. I'm not sure how the HARP and all that stuff works, but this is going to continue. Now, the people of South Carolina, they could go to bed, just like those people that were along the Guadalupe went to bed thinking that everything was good. There was a storm coming in, but storms come, storms go. The water rises. Well, I can tell you that storms come, and you better run when you feel like I did during Hurricane Helene. You better get the hell out of there, which I did, and there was devastation. I'll talk about that here in a little bit, but and then when you get the call to get out of Florida, you get out of Florida, all right, and you head for the mountains like I did. So, and we're going to talk about that too. Safe places to be. Let's look at, we go back. I think it was like a year and a half or so, where we had a storm that came over in Acapulco. They told everybody, maybe you'll wake up to a Hurricane 1. They woke up to a Hurricane 5+. Winds over 200 miles per hour. They can do this during the night, and they do this during the night. They whip up these tornadoes, these massive tornadoes that are like a Cat 5 hurricane tornado come through and just devastate everything and kill so many people. So the looks like at least 13 people have passed in Texas, possible more. Now he goes on to talk about how there's more rain coming for Texas, and there's a system that seems to have stalled over that area and is spinning, almost like a tropical storm. And that's what's happening right now in California. That's what's happening in Texas. So we just have to be heads up about these storms, guys. You got to use your intuition. You got to have the feel for something. You got to be ready to just jump in your car with your family and get the hell out, right? Have a go bag. Go bag should be like water, food, and flashlight, whatever. Pow, whatever you need, and then hit the road if you have to. That's what happened with me with Hurricane Helene. It's like, this is not normal. And so packed up and we got out. So, and then we had devastating floods that killed a lot of people. So you have to be ready to go. You have to be ready, to be. And is any place safe? I saw someone say they're glad they're in Tucson, but you never know. Maybe you're going to get fires in Tucson. They're going to burn you out like they did in LA and Lahaina and Paradise and who knows how many other places. So is any place safe right now? I don't think so.
Inches more of rainfall before this finally gets pulled out of there, and it's already done enough problems and enough damage. And unfortunately, it's very bad. So I'm going to show you this video. This is by Hernan Dorse. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name a little bit wrong. Remember, I do read posties on X, so make sure you follow me. Links are in the description for X as well as Facebook. And I'm going to show you this video of what's been going on for Texas. And this is happening right along the Guadalupe River, which was packed with RV and youth camps for the 4th celebration. Many are presumed dead and more unaccounted. So please pray for these families. Get out! Get out of your car!
Oh my God.
And for you to see how fast this rose up, this is a time-lapse video of this gazebo and how fast these waters came up on everyone.
It's pretty fast. All right. So it can happen.
So please pray for the families in Texas.
It can happen. Yep. Pray for those families there. So it is it's something that we're going to have to deal with. Some of this is natural. The sun is pushing out a lot of energy, and it's impacting the earth, and it's going to cause these changes. Where do you go? Where do you hide? There's really only a few places. I would say, if you're on the coastline or in lowlands, it might not be a good idea to stay there. But you have to use your own intuition. If I tell you like you should get out of a certain place, and then you get out and nothing ever happens, and you like come sue me because you like spent all this money to leave, that's not cool. All right, so it's on you. Use your own intuition and go where you feel you're drawn, or stay and fight it out. So this is Stephon Burns. You see this energy. This energy is coming out of Earth, and it's on the level. Imagine the socket of your home, 120. You plug into it. You got lights and your computer or whatever. This is 1 million watts that's coming off the Earth and is streaming out for whatever reason towards Saturn and Neptune. So the energy transfer is happening not only with the sun and us, but also with our Earth and other planets. So very, very interesting time frame. And this is what's kicking up these earthquake swarms, and also the storms, the superstorms that we're starting to see. Of course, I think they're, like I said, I think they're being manipulated some as well. They're taking those energies and ramping them up and using them against us. So very traumatic. Some of them are natural and some of them are not, right? So Stefan Burns, keeps us informed. I like to watch his stuff. So, just watch his channel. Make sure you're keeping informed if you care, right? So I've been posting this stuff, and I'm really feeling this coming, guys. Right? I wouldn't put this out if I didn't feel that it was important. I'm not into like fear porn, right? I don't believe in that. Right? I know it's out there, but I'm not going to do it. So when I feel compelled to share information, I do the research, and if it fits scientifically and with my intuition and how I feel like I'm being impelled to share this information, I'm like, oh, come on, everybody's going to just not like this, right? They're not going to watch me anymore. So, and then I'm going to share something really important, and they're not going to get it. So it's frustrating. I know, because you don't know the timing of this stuff, but you know that something's afoot and something's coming. I think there's something is getting very, very, very close. There's other people that are talking about this now, have been talking about this, and when you find those people, you just share their information like I do, and it does make an impact, I think, in helping people make their choices. All right, make their choices. So here's one of those people that I think is doing a very good job. This is Nomad Canadian Brent Dimtruck. I just found him today. I posted something and somebody came in and said something. So the one that I did yesterday, where I was talking about a lot of this stuff, you're right when you get those angelic numbers. So if you guys didn't watch that show yesterday, I would say it's probably good, because I got 1 hour, 11 minutes, 11 seconds on that video. I can't plan that. There's no way, right? So that's kind of one of the things that, lets me and know that this is from divine sources, and they want you to be aware, right? So here's one of the guys that's out there pretty much sharing some fairly good information, because I thought this thing was going to be on a much bigger level, but I didn't have the information sources to basically share that. Now this guy seems to be, hitting these things very well. Now I'm going to scroll through some of his stuff, and here it is. Please just don't forget that I warned long before about the Japan mega quake. He thinks there's going to be a 10.3 mega quake. He gives a lot of good information. He's been nailing it from a lot of stuff that I've seen and other people have seen about him. So he's kind of one of those guys who just started tapping into this, and he did it like 3 years ago. He started seeing, things, and he saw that there were some problems with the earth energies. He saw that the plates were starting to lock up and build up energy. So he talks about that. So this was today. So it says alert. Japan said, so this was 5 hours ago when he posted it, and this has been a little bit longer now. When was it? 6:12 a.m. This was July 2nd, actually. So it says alert. Japan said that much more needs to be done to prepare for a possible mega quake to reduce the feared death toll of up to 300,000 people. Now, if it's a 10.3, like this Canadian researcher is saying, it will be a lot more than 300,000. In fact, it will travel around the world and will cause probably tsunamis of 1,000 feet, guys. And so just want you guys to be aware. No fear porn. I don't care about fear porn, but I do care about being aware, right? Many aspects of earthquakes are seeing reduction due to plates starting to get really tight. Lack of depth, size, amount. Now, in Japan, they've been having, I just saw one article where in the last 2 weeks, they've had 120, or was it 100,000? No, it was 1,200, something like that. It was way up there. And the numbers of quakes are more than like 2011. So 2011, when the quakes start to, like, chatter like they're doing, start to go off, then that's usually, for at least Japan area, that's an indicator that something bigger is coming. So they're coming in at a higher rate, and they're coming in at a higher number and a higher intensity. So that points us to the possibility that the Canadian earthquake researcher is accurate, and he's on point, right? So let's look at a little bit more. I announced the start of my fundraiser, so he's going to go to certain places and help. He wants to get to a safe place, so he goes on to talk about a lot of these things. 6.6+ magnitudes are happening. And a good chance you noticed me warn 2 days ago that we need to start watching Northeast Japan. So this was back in May 31st. So here we go. Magnitude 6.1 Northeast Japan. So the magnitudes are pretty intense right now in Japan. Now he gives some insight of the safe places. So as you see here, all the places that are in black, along in red, it even has red along the East Coast. So I don't know what he's seeing about activity out there, but anyway, along the West Coast, all the way down into all the way down the coast into South America, Central America, and South America, he's basically got it mapped out. You should be off the coastline. And black areas will have devastating, matching the 2024 Note Japan local earthquake devastation. So here's the devastation from the floods right here in Japan. Wow, it looks like it's been bombed out and burned to the ground. That's crazy. So devastation, maybe it was, maybe after the quake they had burning, but due to tsunami and earthquake. So he talks about all this stuff. And he goes into depth and he goes into detail about a lot of this stuff. So he says tsunamis. I looked this up. Tsunamis are displaced water that quickly spreads out in all directions. So at the beach, you need to be 1,000 feet above sea level, because he's predicting about a 1,000 foot tsunami. And all around the Pacific Rim, pretty much. So depending on the topography, a mile inland, you might be fine at 700 feet, 5 miles inland, 200 feet. Depends on the topography. So if a tsunami comes in at 1,000 feet, it's going to go to where inland until it hits 1,000 feet. It's just going to keep going in. Because of topography and so forth, it could slow it down a little bit. It could bring the height down some. But the largest tsunami that's ever been recorded was 1,720 feet in Lutya Bay, Alaska. It was in 1958, July 9th, 1958. An earthquake along the Fairweather Fault loosened about 40 million cubic yards, about 30.6 million cubic meters of rock high above the northeastern shore of Lutya Bay. This massive rock plunged the cliffside. So let me change the screen here and bring up this other one. So basically flooded all the way up to that height. Right, so it went so far inland until it reached that height, because this is like a deep bay, and there's mountainsides going up. So when it all that rock plunged, it traveled 1,720 feet up the sides. So it's like dropping something in your bathtub. and it displaces water, and the water rises to a certain level. If you drop something really big in there, it's going to like displace the water. It's going to slosh over the sides and all that stuff. So the wave hit with such power that it swept completely over the spur of land that separates Gilbert Inlet from the main body of Lituya Bay. The wave then continued down the entire length of Lituya Bay over La Chausse Spit and into the Gulf of Alaska. The force of the wave removed all trees and vegetation from elevations as high as 1,720 feet above sea level. Millions of trees were uprooted and swept away by the wave. So that sounds more powerful than what we were looking at from that flood in Guadalupe, that river. Because you could see, it was carrying, cars and so forth, and houses. Houses got, knocked off their foundations and went down river too. So, but you saw that a lot of trees were still left. Now, this one was so powerful, it uprooted the trees. There were no trees that were left. So that's what happens with a tsunami. So yeah, a flooding river is very powerful, very, can cause a lot of damage. But as we saw with the hurricane, not the hurricane, but the tsunami that hit Indonesia, where over 200,000 people were killed, tsunamis can, travel. The energy of them can travel and really cause a lot of devastation and destruction and kill a lot of people. So that's one of the things that we're looking at if we do get a tsunami. Now, he talked about, there was another one, I didn't go to it, but he talked about in another interview on his Instagram. So he has an Instagram site too. That's where I got a lot of that stuff. He talked about he was doing an interview, and I don't know, maybe I can get this guy and do an interview with him too, because he needs money to go do his trip to India and do research and stuff. So maybe we can help him out. But he talked about how if that 10.3 triggers in Japan, it could hit because the Cascadia subduction zone is having problems too. It's basically tensioning up, building up energy. So that 10.3 in Japan could travel around and cook off the subduction zone, he said. And that's where we get those crazy waves. All right. So in January 26, 1700, was the last time the Cascadia subduction zone off the coast of Oregon, California, earthquake that struck that. It was a 9.0, and it caused significant land subsidence and a massive tsunami. The tsunami was, now remember, a lot of you are like, there's no way a earthquake in Japan could harm us, right? Yeah. So that subduction off the coast of Oregon and California, which caused a lot, because the Indians talked about it, the locals, there was some, I guess, settlers there or something during that time frame. They talked about it too. But all the way across in Japan, they had a tsunami over there, and it wiped out villages. It was like a ghost. They called it the ghost tsunami because there was no earthquake, and just all of a sudden, here's this tsunami, boom, and took out a lot of the local communities along the coastline. So imagine the local communities along the coastlines of America, the West Coast, 1,000 feet. It's going to take a lot of people out, right? Because that's where most people live, along the coast, on the east and west coast, and everywhere in the world. Most people live along the coast, not in the mountains. I live in the mountains now. All right. So yeah, it's getting a little crazy. You need to be heads up out there of what's going on. So I can go back. Actually, I didn't put that away. I'm going to go back and we'll listen to his interview. It's pretty insightful. I think this is, nope, that's not it. Let's go back to this one. Is that this is Instagram. So
tell us what is happening not far from where we're sitting here in Seattle, and what do you predict?
The Cascadia subduction zone. So yeah, I know that it's been locked tight and quiet for over 300 years. But it's also interesting to note it's actually part of a continuous line of plate boundary that extends from the San Andreas Fault up to the transform boundary of North America, like the Canada-Alaska border, up to the Alaska subduction zone also. One thing that I would wonder might trigger it is when this larger megaquake in the Northwest Pacific triggers a movement of the North America plate, and that could trigger the Cascadia subduction zone also.
Tell us what is happening not far.
All right, so that's pretty much what we're seeing right now. We're seeing this thing basically, it's getting closer. Someone asked him in a chat today, where do you see this right now, percentage-wise of happening? And he says, a couple of weeks ago I said 77% chance of happening now. And he said, as time goes further, the percentage goes up. And he says within the time frame of this summer into the summer of 26, he believes it's going to happen. So, I mean, it's not like the manga, person, predicted that there was going to be this mega quake today. It did happen. I didn't see it happening, but I'm not gonna say, because there's so many people that were like all over that. I was like, okay, we'll see how this works out, but I don't see it. But I just keep some of this stuff for myself. All right, so because I'm thinking that it wasn't today, doesn't mean that I don't see it could happen soon, right? Because I do think it's going to happen soonish, right? That's all I can say. And when I feel, if I get like the heebie-jeebies, like I got to like get out of Florida, right? And like everybody in my family got that too, then I'm going to move, right? So this may not be a safe place in the future. So a lot of you like look at those maps, and I show those maps where there's devastation. That doesn't mean it happens overnight. It's not like you wake up and, oh, I was in one of those zones, I'm gone. Right? It's like the angels are like, oh, it's time for you to come here and to heaven now. So it's a gradual thing. So like Hurricane Helene coming up and causing all the damage that happened with that. And then you're like, I think I'm out of here. I think I'm out of here. I was able to push a lot of these hurricanes and calm them down, but because I wasn't able to do that for that one, things have changed, right? So it will be like that. You will see, maybe this massive, earthquake, and maybe we get a little ripple. It'll be a devastating one for Japan again, and we'll get a little ripple in California, the West Coast, or whatever, like we did after Fukushima. The tide rose a little bit. Fortunately, it wasn't high tide, and it caused a little bit of damage, but not much. But if it does happen out for our coast, and it happens on a massive level, like he's talking about, more than a 9, like a 10, that's mega tsunami time, right? So, and a subduction is basically when one plate, subverts below another plate, or they go boom, boom. Then you're going to have, this thing really, really, take off as far as tsunami and the devastation, maybe even from hurricane damage. And there's volcanic activity that's happening in Japan now that's really cooking off. So we know there's lots of stuff going on. And if that happens, subduction happens in off the coast. During that time frame, there were volcanoes that went off as well, right? Now there's a lot of people that think there's going to be I'll have beachfront property. It's interesting through the mic because the last time I was here in in Lake Tahoe, I had a dream, and it was a recurring dream, unfortunately, where a massive tsunami came, and it was coming as high as the Lake Tahoe, and it was starting to come up, and I was running for my life up the hill. There was one hill, called it Ski Run, but it was just one long straight road. It used to be, I guess, in the past, where the locals, had it as a ski run for just the local kids and stuff, and they turned into a road. So then during that dream, I remember running again to the top, and it didn't make it. It's kind of like one of those movies where you see the tsunami coming, you run. So that's kind of the way it was a recurring dream. And then I was like, well, it didn't happen. So I guess it was just that period of time. It didn't happen. This could be the same thing. It could be, one of those periods of time where you believe it's coming, or you see that it's coming, and all indications are that it will happen. But through consciousness, prayer, and taking out deep state activity that wants to ramp this stuff up, and it could make a difference, right? We've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've done a lot of this stuff with these storms, but I'm not invincible. Obviously, Hurricane Helene knocked hell out of my place. So, and a lot of other people, and killed a lot of people. So, Japan has been getting hammered by hundreds of earthquakes. Is all this seismic activity building up to the really big event? So, all of a sudden, everyone is watching Japan prior to the magnitude 9.0 that happened. Absolutely devastated. Tsunami slammed into Japan in 2011. There were a number of very alarming foreshocks. There has been a tremendous amount of shaking in Japan during the last couple of weeks. So many are wondering if we're going to get the same thing. So the seismic activity has been very active in the seas around the Tokara Island chain. Even where the tsunami happened in Indonesia, they're having earthquakes there as well. Those just recently started kicking off. So as this guy is writing, he says, as of 4 p.m. today, the number has exceeded 900 in the last 2 weeks. So since he was talking, that was June 21st. Obviously, there's a lot more. So like I said, it's well over 1,000. I think it was like 1,200. So says, so I guess local residents can't sleep because they try and go to sleep and they just get shook all night long. That would be crazy. So wondering if the big one is going to be the one that shakes you awake. So, and that could be an indicator for those people that are there. I mean, do those people like move to higher ground, or do they move somewhere else? I guess there was supposed to be a lot of flights into Japan today, and they canceled a lot of flights into Japan today because of the manga, prediction. It didn't happen today, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen tonight, does it? So who knows? We may be here in the United States, we might get a big shake, and it could be, not only Japan going off, but the one Cascadia going off. So if 10.3 or something like that happens off the Cascadia, a lot of people aren't going to have enough time to get out, right? And there's going to be tremendous casualties from that. So there's that, and there's also Helene. So Hurricane Helene, which was way off the coast, and I have been calming that thing down, and it was 100 miles off the coast. And I don't know, maybe in history there's been a hurricane that caused problems, but we haven't recorded it. That was 100 miles off the coast and caused the flooding that one did, and then went up into the mountains. And not only did it not lose energy, but it seemed to like bring more rain with it into the mountains. It's like very, very unusual. So we know that was a deep state hurricane. So it claimed the lives of 248 people and caused $78.7 billion in damage. So it's the fifth worst hurricane or seventh costliest storm on record. I thought I saw where it was fifth, and fourth deadliest storm to make landfall. Okay, so costliest, seventh costliest, and fourth deadliest. So it's got a little graph here. It talks about Florida had even inland had 99 mile per hour winds. Georgia. So Florida had 99 mile per hour winds inland. Georgia gets 100.1. Tell me, and when does that happen? Ever. South Carolina, Lawrence County, Beaufort County, both had 77, 75 mile per hour winds. North Carolina, Mount Mitchell, of course, that's way up there, had 105 mile per hour. Banner Elk, 101. Highest wind gusts in other states, West Virginia, 70. Ohio had 67, Indiana 67. So this impacted a very, very large scale. Of course, Florida, 34 died. Georgia, 37, more than Florida. South Carolina, 50. So, yes, Floridians are, they know how to weather the hurricanes, but still, I mean, all those people dying. North Carolina, of course, really got the worst, 105. It was like Guadalupe River, all of a sudden it's like, I remember seeing video of people that were driving and the water just kept going up. And so they went into like these different places and water kept going up and on the roads and so forth. They kept trying to get higher ground, and then cars are getting flooded and roads are getting flooded while they're all like, they can't, there's nowhere to run. It's crazy. And then of course, that river that went through North Carolina that basically tore all those houses up and killed all those people. Tennessee, 18, Virginia, 3, Indiana, 1. So 248 total. So storm surge, an abnormal rise in water above normal tide levels. So there's no question they manipulated Helene, guys. Will they manipulate more storms in the future? Yeah. Is deep state done? It's going to take years. It's going to take years. How many thousands of years have they come? How long did it take to win World War II? 4 or 5 years. How long did it take to win Afghanistan? Oh, we didn't win Afghanistan. 20 years. Right? How long were we in Vietnam? I don't know, a long time. So these guys will continue to play their games, guys, for a long period of time until they're basically all of them are exposed in prison. And so that's why I think that in the next next year, we're going to see some of those major people like Obama and Bush and Clinton, and probably a lot more in the CIA and FBI and so forth, that are going to stand trial and be executed for treason, right? And because they have to go away. So they've been able to stay, commit their crimes like Hillary Clinton and so forth, commit their crimes. The Clinton crime family, the Obama crime family, the Biden crime family, the Bush crime family. Good God. None of them have stood trial or been held accountable. So if you're a criminal and you go in and shoot up a bank and rob it and then walk out and nothing happens to you, what are you going to do? You're going to keep robbing banks, right? You're going to keep killing people with storms. You're going to keep, taking their money through taxation and all that bullshit. So, they have to be eliminated from the scene completely so that they can never come back and do this again. So that's going to take time, guys. But we're moving, I think, very quickly in that direction, very quickly. And with the militarization that we're seeing right now of America, it's very important that that happens. So that's not like overnight that Trump has to send all the military around the country. That will take time. So if they're being pre-positioned to do drug intervention and illegal alien capture and transport, okay, we'll use that as an excuse to like get everybody in place, right? So that's, I think, where we're at right now. And they're going to continue to use subterfuge with these storms and these earthquakes and so forth. That's probably going to take a lot of people out, right? And we think 9/11 is bad. Imagine if they were able to kick off the subduction plates off the coast of Oregon and cause that 1,000-foot tsunami. That would give them a lot of wiggle room, wouldn't it? Because everybody would be focused on that, and they could probably stay in power for a little bit longer and solidify everything and eliminate some people that are problems. That's the way these guys have operated for thousands of years, right? So hopefully we'll be able to, take them out of action and stay focused. Even if things get really crazy out there, we still need to keep our focus on getting these guys out off the earth forever, right? And block them from ever reincarnating. I don't know how we can do that, but we got to figure it out. All right, guys. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, and we'll see you guys next time. Happy 4th.